Right, 13 minutes past the hour. This is a Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migu. Welcome to The Viewpoint, where we look at what is happening in the political landscape, events that are shaping the politics of this country. And today there's a lot to talk about, including the vetting of the CSs that is supposed to happen tomorrow. And actually today is the last day that the public is supposed to present their memoranda regarding the nominees that have been proposed or nominated by the president, and also attach evidence that contests any nominee's suitability. And so today, if you have something to present, you can present it to the parliament. And to have to help me in this talking about this political landscape, what is happening, I have a panel of 3 people. Let me start with my immediate left, Joyce Wamahi, political analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Greetings from Kinagop in Nyadera County.
Yes.
I'm well and ready for the show.
Yes. And also Engineer Crispus Wathimba, political analyst. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very well, sir.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
And also Wakili Gibson Gisore, who is the advocate of the High Court. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, there's a lot that has happened. And actually yesterday the president nominated Dorcas Oduol to the position of the Attorney General, and also Beatrice Askul to the position or the CS nominee for East African Community Affairs and ESALs. I don't know, let me start with you, because you are lady and these are 2 ladies who are nominated to very important positions. What do you think of these nominations?
I think the ladies are harvesting in a big way. Dorcas is made up of great brains, starting way back, I think, in 1982, if I'm not wrong. This is a gold mine, ready, and I think willing to dispense the information that this country needs. The only small worry is that we are fronting more to the rec side, other than looking into the regional balance. Only last week we saw 4 again, leadership of the ODM again, 3 of them from again the rec side, and another this week from the rec side, that is Dorcas. We also have the lady who was nominated again yesterday in the ODM leadership. So much as the ladies are benefiting from the same, but let it not be seen as if it's a political discussion that is going on, so that we have the wider reach of the women benefiting from the same. But from the nominees, I wish them well.
Yes. Engineer, what do you think of the nominations, and how does it speak to the aspect of women inclusion in key positions of leadership?
Well, I'm happy to see that at least at the last minute, a very sober decision was made when it came to selecting the AG. This is a legal mind that is respected across the divide. Even though it came probably from influence from the other political divide, not from within Kenya Kwanza, it is a welcome decision. We wish that many such decisions could have been made as early as 2022, when the government was forming its own first cabinet. If we had such a sober, well-informed decisions in terms of selecting the cabinet, I don't think we would have found ourselves where we are today in 2024. But that is water under the bridge. We need to forge forward. For me, what I'm looking forward through the vetting process is to be able to interrogate these nominees and be able to understand them. I am looking forward to see if there will be a balance of skills in terms of the skill set that these people have. Are they people of integrity? Because integrity has been the biggest challenge this leadership has been struggling with. In terms of the competence That is a very important aspect, to be able to be able to confirm that these people are competent and they're able to deliver on their work. So we hope by Sunday close of business, when the vetting process will come to an end, we will have the confidence as a country that the protests that led to these changes were not in vain, and the Gen Zs and many Kenyans who were not happy with the kind of cabinet we had before will be satisfied with the decision the president has made. In terms of the bringing the opposition or members of the to government, I think let's allow the president to make his decision. It is through his wisdom that he has found it fit to reach out to the other side. What is important is that whichever side he picks, it is a side that can deliver the promise of the Kenyan government. The politics should be about service. And we have seen over the last 20 months that politicians and leaders are not servants. They need to realize that they are put in that office to serve, not to be served by the Kenyan people. So therefore, we are looking for service. We are looking for productivity in the civil service. We are looking for value for money. We are looking for people who are able to give us direction where this country is going. We have only 2 years that we can really count on the governance and leadership of this government. 2027 will be a campaign year, so we cannot really depend on anything on that. But I can only say that looking at the cabinet, there seems to be a shift in terms of how the formations of coalitions will be come 2027. The mountain, in my opinion, may not be forming the most relevant coalition party come 2027. William Ruto will reach out to the wider part of the country to form coalitions.
So there is a political implication coming out from this
if you look at the nominees from the ODM, they are strong leaders.
We shall be looking at that.
Yes, but when you look at what was nominated from the other side of the mountain, these are not people who can deliver votes for the
I want Wakili to give his sentiments regarding the nomination of the two ladies. And actually, if you look at the judiciary, there's a lot of the ladies are taking center stage, because you look at the Chief Justice, the person who is heading the LSK president actually is a lady, and now a nomination of a lady to the position of the Chief Justice. Your views?
Thank you so much. I think from where I stand is that the future is women. The future is women, and that is clearly being demonstrated.
Yes.
In the legal circles, we already knew that long time ago, and we are well okay with that, because if you look at, if we start even from the lower cadre of the judiciary, the magistracy, you compare the number of men vis-a-vis women, you go to the prosecution, still the number of women prosecutors outweighs the male prosecutors. I think there is something about law and women. I don't know whether it's the English, because I know most men don't do well in languages. The condition of having a very high grade in English or Kiswahili, I think, kind of puts a blockage for men, for young men to actually progress, to end up doing law. I mean, I also teach at a law school, and I do realize that the majority of the people in the class are actually women. So that goes without saying that the legal career, we don't have any problem having so many women in whichever docket that they have attained, provided they are qualified. So that having said that, we have seen the first Chief Justice being female. I think even in the region, we set precedent. I think now even Zambia has the same. Now we are going to have the first AG as a woman. And that is, I think, progress. The president did talk about something to do with an inclusive government. And I think when he talks of inclusivity, we need to see diversity and the face of Kenya. And actually, I think he's tried pretty much to do that. And as my friend Waitima has highlighted, we have seen the aspect of him picking very competent people from other sides of the country which were not represented in his cabinet, and also even in other sectors of government. So we are looking at a picture where the president is trying to prepare his house for performance, and then he's also preparing his house for the next election. So those two things are coming in handy to actually be able to show what kind of leadership we're going to experience between now and 2027.
Yeah.
And all we wish for them is we wish them well, because if they do not perform, we also we go down with them, and we don't want to go down as a country with the president and his cabinet. So the most important thing to look at the moment is the fact that we need to have very competent and able people, because there were issues, as it has been highlighted, that there were issues with the former cabinet where you could look at some people, you wonder, how did they end up there? I think it's because of the political tokenism, and we will wish that from now onwards the president does absolve himself of the aspects of political baggage which he carried over from the last election, and is able to deliver for Kenyans, because what Kenyans need now is delivery of service.
Yes. Madam Joyce, according to you, given the way the president has done his nomination, has he managed to achieve the aspect of national unity?
To me, I think he's still way below. Bringing on board about seven members from the mountain, to me, it's a big no. Why? Wakiri has said well that we need to bring in a phase of diversity and inclusivity. We have 42 tribes in Kenya. Is the president trying to bring to war between the 41 and the 1? Why didn't the president pick, say, a maximum of 3 from the mountain and overrode the 4 to the other tribes? Because the Kenya is not about the mountain. We are bringing a lot of antagonism in the mountain, because we want to bring in, like, the mountain is having the cake, the Raja cake. I think here it's all about the improving of the economy. So the president should narrow down into improving the economy, providing the provision of good governance vis-a-vis the tribe. When you bring in a huge sizable number from the mountain, I think Kenyans will start looking into the mountain as if the mountain is the bottleneck, is the issue that will stop delivery of services. Look at what happened in the previous cabinet secretaries that were there prior, immediately after he was sworn in. Another huge baggage from the mountain. Did the CS from the mountain deliver? We saw it in the public domain. Just does not need to specify what happened. So to me, I think the president should not have gone into the huge number of the mountain. And even I'm requesting, praying that the National Assembly tomorrow, when they go and sit, let them bring down the numbers from the mountain. We do not require 7 from the mountain. Look at who was brought on board from the mountain. We have 3 lawyers there. We have Miano, we have Ares, and we have the former AG. Why do we need 3 lawyers? Why won't we have diversified the professions of the mountain? Why bring in 3 lawyers at the expense of others? Let us specifically go to these persons and the professions that they can deliver. We do not need a lawyer. Sorry to bring this on board. Look at what the CS designate JB Muturi. What is he designated to go and do? Contrary to what he has undertaken to do. So I believe what was brought on board is not appropriate. When at the National Assembly seat, let them even try to bring down the number from the mountain. Let them try to include even other tribes, like the Kamba, to be precise. Yesterday, the president brought on board a first lady from Turkana. You know, does other tribes have a representation? Yes. let the leadership of this country include other small, even tribes. Do not go and look into the mountain. It's not about the mountain this time. Though Joyce Wamahio comes from the mountain, it's about service delivery. It's not about the mountain. Let us not antagonize Kenyans with the 2027. Let us zero in into service delivery. Let us zero into improving of our economy. Let us zero in into good governance, not the tribes, not the mountain. That's my take.
So there was more of a political solution
to me,
the
this
problem?
is, Wakili, I just said it in bold letters, that it's all about 2027. Let us not look into the 2027. Let us look into the issues that was brought up by the Gen Z. They did not bring the issues of 2027. They wanted good governance. We are looking into tomorrow, the issues of good governance. The nominees, the CS nominees who have already been brought on board, some of them have major issues to deal with. Let Kenyans submit any document, any information that you think can bring down this number. I'm praying, this is my prayer, and members from the mountain where I come from, bring down the numbers of, CS nominees from the mountain. Let us also, Mike, let us also try to bring down this chest dumping within the mountain. Who are the best chest dumpers? The Ruyas and the Ruyas are not chest dumpers. It is only members from the mountain who are CS nominees who started chest dumping. Let us bring that pride down.
All right. We are going to talk about the political implication of all this, and I want to hear your views. And also, she has raised something about a mismatch of skills in some nominations, and we are going to talk about that, but we'll do that after we take a short break. Thank you for tuning in to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. This is The Viewpoint, and we are talking about the political landscape within the country. And all the things we are talking about is the vetting and the nominees by the president to the positions of CSs. And Engineer, there's something you mentioned about political implication of all these nominations in regards to 2027. What is it about that?
For me, I was looking at it from the point of political maneuvering when it comes to William Ruto seeking re-election. If you look at the caliber and the quality of the leaders that have been nominated from ODM, in terms of mobilizing votes for anybody, whether it's William Ruto or Raila Amolo Odinga, these are men who can deliver, and they have already delivered. Looking at the general election of 2022, if you look at the vote that Raila had, around 6.7 million votes, if you remove what Kalonzo and Martha Karua delivered, probably it's around 1.5 million votes. So 4.2 million votes from Raila Amolo Odinga. A big chunk of it was delivered by Joho and Oparanya and the other members of the ODM party. So therefore, William Ruto looked at the strength that the allies of Raila Amolo Odinga can deliver for him in the event the mountain is not able to support him. And if you look at the other side, the mountain, the kind of leaders that were nominated, there are many, but can they deliver? Can they deliver votes for him? I don't think so. And I said it last year, that worry to Gachagua, the day Raila Amolo Odinga and Ruto will come together. These are people who have worked together. Back in 2005, they held a referendum that challenged the administration of Kibaki. In 2007, they formed ODM, which challenged the election of Kibaki and gave birth to the government of national unity, which was there between 2008 and 2012. So we need to realize that the mindset of William Ruto is towards how he's going to seek re-election. It might probably not about delivery over the next 2 or 3 years. It has to be about what he will be able to garner in terms of getting re-elected 2027, so probably can be able to do his legacy projects in the last term. In terms of the mountain, looking at the history of this politics, Moi was able to rule for 10 years between 1992 and 2002 by dividing the mountain. And I see that has already started being manifested. The struggles between Kemani Ichung'wah and Ndindi Nyoro, Kiunjuri, and now the deputy president is a clear indication that the mountain may not be as restful by 2027. We will probably have factions, we'll have a divided mountain, we'll have a mountain that has no direction. Only if one person may be able to try and work together to bring these people together is only that can salvage this mountain. But there is a likelihood that the mountain might be in the opposition come 2027.
Come 2027.
Yes.
Wakili, given the forays that the president has made into the opposition and specifically ODM, does this dalliance between the two undermine or affect the role of opposition in parliament?
It does greatly, and that is, I think, the biggest challenge in this whole mix, because as Kenyans we deserve better, because I don't think we have a robust opposition as it stands, and when the president goes ahead and picks the minority leader from the National Assembly, who's been his fiercest critic, then clearly, I mean, when you take out the leader, then you know that the whole group becomes confused. So you will need to go back, regroup, and then start strategizing who is the best fit in this equation. Is it Watima? Is it someone else? I mean, and then, you know, these people are not even prepared for this role. So it means we have lost a soldier who was already battle hardened. So we'll need to, again, another 2 years to harden another one. Already we'll be in election. So that is a tactic of, that is a political tactimanship from the side of the president. And he has really gone for the people who matter from the other side. I think even the ODM itself admits that generals have gone with one, I don't know what they were calling the other one. And that means, but then you also look at it from the other angle. I mean, what is ODM gaining? He wants to go for this was done closely when he was about to hand in his documents for the AU position. And it's the government which was presenting the papers on his behalf. So that means that he needs full government support. So what did he have to give in exchange? He had to give his best soldiers.
So it's a quid pro quo.
It's a quid pro quo. It's basically a quid pro quo. All these thing boils down to the fact that the president is perhaps one of the most tactical politicians we have ever had since Moi, because we have not seen any other president who has been able to play all this Machiavellian, if I can be able to use the word, Machiavellian style of politics. He is really using the 48 roles of power, that you need to finish your enemy totally. Sorry, I have a cold. You need to have them respect you. And I think, I don't think there is anybody in the opposition who can stand up against the president as it stands. Brings me to the second question. Where do we stand as a country?
Exactly.
I mean, Waithima has just picked words from my mouth by saying that this kind of government, or the political tokenism we are seeing, does not speak much to the delivery of service in the remaining period. Maybe what we might see maybe is pet projects of the president being accomplished so that he goes into the election. But then we have a big problem. Where did we lose the cabinet? Because of the Gen Z issues. Nobody's talking about the Gen Z issues, and that is going to be a major problem.
And one of the things they were saying, the Gen Z were raising, is that the president, having overhauled the whole cabinet, needed to bring technocrats. According to you, did the president squander that chance?
I think he has. I think he has, unless he really plays a very tight game with the kind of people he has chosen. And I mean, you don't bring people from the other side and then you start immediately shepherding them towards your line. You realize that some of the people he has chosen, like Oparanya, was one of the fiercest critics to the fund. What is the
Hustler Fund?
The Hustler Fund. Yes. How do you again package him and then tell him that this is how it's going to work, and he runs with it? to the satisfaction of Kenyans and to the satisfaction of the president. So that kind of mix brings in a lot of problems. So I think what we are going to expect is we are going to see a lot more of the Gen Zs boiling down, raising issues because they feel left out. As much as they say that this government was going to be inclusive, it does not involve much of the Gen Zs. There are issues which they were talking about have not been handled. And I think as a country, the president has lost this opportunity because if he had taken it up, we could be having a restful Kenya. And a restful Kenya means a Kenya which is able to sustain itself, Kenya which is able to, because the Gen Zs were talking about, can we have the teachers get back to work? Can we have the feeding program get on course? Unless these people are going to deliver on that, I mean, after they are sworn in, unless that is the next memorandum we're going to see the president give to Parliament, because right now Parliament is debating the appropriation, the amended appropriations bill, so that they can be able to bring in issues. I don't know, I've not seen it, whether those are some of the provisions which have been put in there, because that's where the problem lies. Until those issues are sorted, we are not going to, is 2027, much as he has properly crafted it, might be taken away from him.
Yes. Madam Joyce, according to you, in a way, has the oversight aspect from the opposition been weakened?
Yes and no. But before I answer you, allow me to just rope into what Wakili said, brought on board the issue of the opposition. I think this time around we have a more strong opposition. Wiper, of course, we know Jubilee is down and dead. We have Wiper as a strong opposition. Inside the House, we have Wiper opposition. But out of the jurisdiction of the House, out of the perimeters of the fence, we have a strong opposition. This is the Gen Zs. This is an issue that people have not brought on board to start analyzing the same. That this revolution was started by them. They've realized that we rearranged ourselves only in short term, and then we've gone back to our comfort zone. Look at what the president did.
Yes.
He nominated one CS for 2 positions. Why? Like the president was not sure. I'm seeing this. You've also brought out the issue of the Hustler Fund. I'm seeing like the vetting will only be a short-term business, because again, the revolution will come. Look at the CS nominee for health. Already matters are in the public domain. We do not need to hide our heads in the sand. We know that initially her certificate had been cancelled. It was only restated a week prior to the nominations. This is information in the public domain. This is what people will try to petition the Speaker to the National Assembly. Is she going to pass or not? It's in the public domain. So I'm seeing this as a short-term arrangement for the president to realign himself. Then once the nominees have been swapped up, have been accepted, then he swaps up now the position to suit what he wants. So to me, this is a short-term rearrangement, that it is a lost opportunity. And we needed to capture the golden opportunity. When the president was forced by the Gen Zs to drop the CS, I think he should have taken the advantage of releasing that baggage. He did not bring down the baggage. He brought the CS nominee to education, who was the running mate of the former CS, the CS education. So in essence, you are bringing Kamau with a Joroge. The oversight issue. In the House, it will be compromised. Why? My 2 Ebo brothers here brought in the issue of the leadership in the National Assembly, whereby 2 heroes who Kenyans never thought would talk good of the current leadership. This is John Badi and Opio. Today they are talking good. So Kenyans will start wondering, how do you define good and how do you define bad? So in terms of oversight, Kenyans now need to start preparing themselves, because the National Assembly will not do oversighting. In essence, this will be the party issues that will be discussed in the National Assembly. When you bring in the issue of the vetting tomorrow, It will not be based on the papers held by the nominees. It will be about the party leadership. Wakili have just brought in a very good issue. Prior to signing in, prior to forwarding in of papers from the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for the AUC position, 4 generals were picked up. Why? We do not have coincidences in life. If I'm pushing your papers for AUC, kindly bring me on board or your house. So in essence, what the ODM leadership did, other than Sifuna, they swept the house clean and delivered the leadership to Kenya Kwanza government. So tomorrow, from tomorrow up to Sunday, it will be the issue of parties' positions. It will not be the issues of the papers held, the certificates held, the professions held, the good governance issue, the human rights issue, the issue of it's a holistic of issues. It will not be about improving the economy. It will be the party's position. Kenyans are watching carefully and keenly. If tomorrow, between tomorrow and Sunday, it will be the party's position. I'm not a prophet of doom. Next week, the agencies will be on the street. So I'm appealing a polite request to the leadership of the National Assembly. Kindly deal with that issue soberly, so that we do not have next week, we do not have a lot of disruptions in next week. Where you can bring down these nominees, bring them down. Don't depend on the party's position. Use your brains. Use what have been provided to you. When the clerk to the National Assembly gave the people the ring to say the views, let those views be looked into so that Kenyans can feel, yes, we owned up the process of nominating and vetting out of the house. That's my position.
Wathimba, I want you to touch on what she has said about party positions. Do you agree this will manifest during this vetting process?
You know, this parliament and even the other parliaments, the last 2 parliaments, have clearly demonstrated the party line is the one that takes the day. So I don't see a position where party members will speak contrary to what the party has told them. But there are certain events that have taken place that might give us a window of opportunity for Parliament to show its relevance. The current challenges that are bedeviling the Deputy President might give some members who are allied to him to also be able to demonstrate their independent position. But as you have seen, he says when it comes to nomination of cabinet, he was given what he wanted. So I don't see even him or those who are allied to him disowning some of the nominations that are going to be presented in Parliament. So I don't see at any one point this cabinet being rejected by Parliament. When it goes to, in terms of numbers, ODM has around 86 legislatures. UDA has 144. Wiper and Jubilee have very few numbers to be able to challenge these nominees. So in terms of even the plenary discussions, the nominees will be given a green light. They'll be sworn in most likely a few days later. The only problem I'm seeing is that the Gen Zs or those who are agitating for change in government, if they are not satisfied, we may see further riots or protests in the future. But the only concern I have is that for the last 1 month, this movement has remained partyless, leaderless, and tribeless. Tribeless is okay. Partyless, I'm not very sure. But leaderless, that's a challenge because you need to organize yourself so that you can be able to maximize that movement that you've built to be able to demand as a movement what you want. This movement will go in history as probably one that was able to bring change. But who took advantage of that opportunity is the president himself, because he was able to let go some of his cabinet secretaries, but he was able to weaken the opposition by inviting the generals of the opposition to his government. And therefore, over the next 2 years, I don't see any challenge he will face, both in the in terms of legislation in Parliament, but also in his executive, because he has his people now across the entire government infrastructure. doing whatever he wants. The only solace we have is probably with the nomination of the AG, Madam Oduro, because she's a competent legal mind. We are sure that some of the bills that will be signed into law will be good laws which will not be rejected will not be challenged in court, as we have seen in the last 2 years, where numerous legislation being challenged because they are unconstitutional and they are not meeting the required standard. So I just want to pray that there will be wisdom in these people who are nominated, that they will put politics aside and be able to take advantage to serve Kenyans with the 2 years that they'll have or 3 years they'll have in cabinet.
Yes. Wakili, where will that, if party positions come out, where will that leave the public submissions? And in a way, won't we be going back to where we started?
I think we run the challenge of going back to where we started. That is my biggest fear. But this all depends on how the presidency says to play this, because clearly we don't have a parliament now. Parliament is totally going to be vanquished unless we have very dedicated members, individual members, not party, individual members. Yes. It now boils down to individual capabilities of anybody who will want to stand up and be counted in parliament. But the way things are, I don't think that there is anything much we can expect out of the parliament. We have totally washed ourselves of it. All things which we expect to be done, we should be able to address the president directly, because he's the one who was elected. We should assume that parliament does not exist, because we don't expect them to do anything much which can be able to help Kenyans. In their nature, they have already been vanquished, if I may use the word. But then still we want to look at a situation from also the glass as half full rather than half empty. Yes. So as Kenyans, we have been able to come out of very murky situations, and we have been able to dust ourselves. That is the only hope I have. Now we do have, it's not the parliament which is the cabinet. It's not the parliament which made the finance bill to be dropped. Actually, they wanted it to pass, or they already passed it, as they did. So if they are not going to change the way they are doing things, this gives Kenyans a clean opportunity to decide what kind of leadership we want in 2027, so that we are going to start on a clean slate as Kenyans. If we miss this opportunity for change, because it's an opportunity for Kenyans and an opportunity for the president equally. The president, we have given him his last chance to prove himself. If he cannot be able to prove himself within the period with the people whom he has unpicked himself, he will not have us. He will not blame anyone. He will not start saying, because of this, that's why I did not deliver. We are going to mark him, his record clearly and meticulously come 2027. At least he is trying to prepare his house for 2027. But we are also trying to mark his script and see whether he qualifies to be in the ballot in 2027. So this is a great opportunity for Kenyans if we look at it from both ways, that we need to walk into this moment with a lot of concern, walk into this moment with a lot of curiosity, and walk into this moment with a lot of insight as to what we want as Kenyans and how we will want to be governed. Because clearly, one of our key elements of governance has already been declared redundant, and I think that is Parliament. So we need to start asking for the things which we want direct to the person we elected, and we want to see him deliver. If he doesn't deliver, then we have our choice to make.
So there's some sense of accountability that has to happen.
Yes, there is going to be better accountability than when we were depending on Parliament. Because whatever we want, we just ask it through memorandum, through petitioning, and through demonstrations.
Yes. There's also the aspect of the civil society. Where does that leave the civil society in terms of checking the government, given that some quarters feel like the opposition has, in a way, become weak? Let me start with you.
I think the civil society has played, even in the past, played a very vital role in terms of checking the government. I think right now they are more even stronger than they were before, prior to, say, in the month of June. Why? We have seen the human rights group are more aggressive than they were before, because there were still issues that needed to be dealt with prior to June. At this time round, we've seen them more. Perhaps the civil society that we've not seen them come out clearly on issues touching on good governance. We should have a holistic address of leadership. If the civil society needs to operate, let them address issues not one-sided, looking into the issues of the human rights only. Let them deal with other issues in terms of good governance, leadership, human rights. Once we have now that in place, like Wakili said, let us not also look into the issues of the half empty grass. Let us also look into the half full grass. The civil society have been aggressive in terms of looking into the issues of the missing demonstrators. But we've not also seen them, the other side of them, in terms of advising the government, bringing to the issues of public participation on good governance. Look at the issue of the finance bill. The finance bill should be, we should do civil education, not public participation. Doing civil education is the work now of the civil, doing the work of the civil education is the work of the activists, the civil society, yes, not the public, not the parliament, sorry. So let them also come on board and take their positions, because we've seen them, they've not taken their position. When we had the revolution during the month of July, it was a wake-up call for everybody, so that now we can put our house in order. And then we deal now with the issues that we've been very comfortable dealing with in the past. In terms of human rights, we've not scored rightly. But in terms of good governance, have they been aggressive enough as they are on human rights? I'm happy when one group came on board and said, let us look into the activities of these groups and see how they've been spending public resources. Have they been utilizing these resources appropriately? So I think it is also the high time that we also brought on board and a very robust group that now can check the government in terms of now the accountability, the service delivery, the governance issue, the leadership issue, so that everything is now brought on board. Much as we want to deal with the issues of 2027, before we go to 2027, let us now deal with the bridge that we are on now. The bridge we have today is good governance and leadership. Who is willing to take the first bullet in terms of good governance? Is it the civil societies? Is it the public? Is it the National Assembly? Is it the Gen Z? Is it Wajiko? So let us all be inclusive in terms of dealing with that issue, because we've realized there's a huge gap in terms of even checking the government. We've realized today, even from this sitting, we've realized that the National Assembly will not oversight the government. Who will be there to oversight the government? It is now you and me. Members of the civil society, members of the professions, members of anybody else who can partake in terms of checking the government. Once we have those factors in place, then I think the role will.
Yes.
Yes.
That is very interesting. And when we come back, we are going to talk about another aspect within the political landscape that involves the upheavals that are rocking the UDA party. But we'll do that after this short break. Don't go too far. Always a pleasure to have you on board here on Good Morning Kenya. This is The Viewpoint, and we are looking at the political landscape within the country wholesomely. We are talking about the civil society, and Wakili wants to add something about what you've said. Go ahead.
Yes, I think when we talk about civil society, we also need to be clear and alive to some of the developments which have happened, especially in the former regime. We were able not to see a very robust civil society because of the kind of legal regime that used to exist was abolished. And then the president was not able to sign the new bill. which could be able to allow them to operate freely. So that, for a long time, made the civil society to be quiet and not to be seen. And that, of course, reduced the civic education, which happens in the country, and that brought down or clawed back on the political space and the aspects of what the civil society does, that is civic education. So when we saw that, when the president came into power, recently passed in the Public Benefits Act, which now allows them, that's where you've seen them come up immediately, because the platform has been already raised or hoisted. But our constitution is one very interesting document. That's why we shouldn't worry about Parliament and them sleeping, because we have accountability at various stages or at various levels. We have the civil society, which we have talked about. We have the people themselves through Article 1, which gives them the power to automatically or directly exercise their powers when they feel nobody is speaking for them. We also have the independent organization, what do we call them? These organizations which have been anchored in the Constitution. The commission, the independent commissions. The independent commissions is one other place which has gone to sleep. We have not seen any meticulous effort, save for the Auditor General of Government. Is it the Auditor General Nyakango who has been speaking? But the other commissions like EACC, the other commissions which we have, we've not seen them present any reports or actually talk about their reports openly, because you need to present them to the public first, then present them to Parliament. Maybe they've been doing them quietly and presenting them to Parliament. Right now, the Auditor General is auditing the reports for CDF, which are still being taken to Parliament. Because from where I stand, we cannot audit themselves. That goes against the aspect of separation of powers, and that is something which we have debated for the longest. So we are aware. So when Parliament goes, we need this independent body, so that we can be able to inform the people of what is happening with their resources, of what is happening with issues governance. The issues to do with for example, the independent body which deals with national cohesion. We haven't had it talk about anything for the longest. I don't know who is their leader right now, who is the CEO or who is the chairman. So some of the things which we have, when the Gen Zs are talking about we need to see governance, we have bodies and the independent arms of government we should be dealing, which are asleep, which we need to also start waking them up, or ensuring that the people who go to these offices are people who actually know what to do. Because the other challenge is some of these people who are elected to this office, they don't know the difference between their right leg from their left, and they're sitting on a very important public organ which is supposed to serve the Kenyans. So those are some of the challenges which we need to also deal with, to deal with issues of governance.
Yes. All right, let's move on to another matter, and this concerns the story that is carried on the front page of the Daily Nation. Gashagua's aides squeezed by police. The three close allies of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua were yesterday questioned by detectives over alleged links to recent youth-led protests that forced President William Ruto to make major concessions, among them withdrawal of the finance bill and dissolution of the cabinet. This even as talk of impeachment motion against the DP persists. Engineer, what do you make of this?
Well, when we talk about political witch hunt,
yes,
that kind of direction tells to that. Because I think recently aides to the Prime Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, were also alleged to have been involved in some kind of clandestine activities using his office. We have always seen people around political leaders misusing the influence they have to do something that is sometimes not within the jurisdiction of their work. So let us allow the investigators to do their work, but let them make sure that they do it objectively. Unfortunately, even if the aides are found to be innocent, the consequences of this kind of interrogation is clear demonstration that the president and the deputy president are not together. So that unity and the unity of purpose that we have probably seen for the last 2 years, I don't see it being there going forward. And that will be a very bad place for us as a country, where the people who are elected together, and many Kenyans went to vote and said, we elect you, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, to be holders of the presidency, are not united. And it tells to the challenges we are going to face as a country, where over the next 3 years, it will not be about service, it will be about politics and how relevant one can remain politically. Because Gachagua will probably take a position of where he's defending his relevance in the mountain, and the president will go in reinforcing his generals and the ones he has even acquired now, to make sure to come 2027 he's re-elected. So where does it place Gachagua come 2027? We don't know. But I see come 2027, the likelihood of Gachagua as a running mate is highly unlikely. We might see a first woman VP in Kenya, or first woman deputy president in Kenya, and most likely not from the mountain region, most likely from somewhere else in the country, who will work together with William Ruto to run the government 2027, 2032 if he wins. But as a general concern across the board, the Gen Z movement went for 2 issues: integrity and accountability. And as we have all spoken here, the civil society was there before the Gen Z went up route. The independent commissions were there before they went to route. So it tells that these institutions have failed in holding the government to account. And now that we are also going to have a weakened government, we can just tell ourselves that we have only ourselves to rely on, and not any institution, not any organ of government, or not even the civil society to rely on in terms of checking this administration.
Yes. Yeah. Let me get your views on this. And also, there's some politicians within Mount Kenya that have termed the deputy president as divisive. What's your take on that?
I want to take from where my brother has stopped. You've just read it loudly. You know, this is plain English. Like Wakili said, readers are good in English.
Yes.
That the headline reads, interrogation on AIDS.
Yes.
It does not read interrogation on the deputy president. Or does it read the same?
No.
So why are we impeaching if Wakili's brother is on offense? Why are we going to then to Wakili? Why do we need to antagonize Wakili if his brother is on the offense? This is a wrong precedence that we are setting. That for offenses done by Mike's brother, we want to put Mike on the cross. If the interrogation is on the aides of the deputy president, then Gachagua has no business whatsoever with the offenses of omissions or commissions done by his aides. Way back in the month of late May, 2 employees of the Super CS, this is Musalia Mudavadi, were implicated in some huge scandal. Other than the arresting, the matter has gone down. Did we seek a motion to impeach the Super CS? No. Why we deliberate in terms of addressing issues? Why do you want to see that one brother has sinned more than the other brother? If it is the issue of sinning, there's 2 offices, one misused. The office of the cabinet secretary, I mean the office of Musalia Mudavadi, the office of Rigathi Gachagua were misused. Why are we not dealing with the persons who did the offenses and not, and separate the 2? The Mountain has read also that newspaper today, and I'm sure in the village where I come from, they are discussing this headline. And they are discussing this headline in reference to another offense that was committed. And no publicity was made, but on their son, who asked members of his village to come out in huge numbers to go and vote for the principal. And they were obedient. And they went and voted for the principal. So in essence, when you try to separate the 2, you'll be doing a lot of disservice. I think President Ruto is a wise man, and this kind of, I will not use negative words in the morning, but this kind of drama, the president don't allow. Even for the persons who want to impeach, throw it in the dustbin, because they are trying to divide you. If the president of this country need to go to if the president need political survival for 2027, this is not the kind of discussion he should be holding. Because you need the numbers. You do not need the persons.
It's not even the president who is discussing this. The president has not been mentioned anywhere.
Where I come from, Mike, the dog will not bark until the owner asks it to bark. Here we are seeing, I'm not saying that the owner of the dog wants something, but we've had in the recent week, two very vocal members of the mountain addressing the deputy president in total disregard. And yet, the principal have kept quiet. If the principal wants to stop this discussion, he will not take 2 minutes. He will only take a second to stop this discussion. It's in the public domain. Does the principal want to encourage this discussion? I will not want to answer. But my prayer this morning, the principal, who is the president of this country, do not allow this chest dumping to go on in the mountain. If it goes on, they still have their numbers. And if you try to isolate the mountain vis-a-vis other tribes, they'll also revolt. Mike, before I conclude, what is happening in the UDA? Why weren't the elections for the party position, why were they stopped in the month of March? There were a lot of rumbles. What is happening at the background of Oparanya and Bugoma and Trans Nzoia? Why did we have a meeting last week castigating some senior leadership? Because there's a lot of disharmony. The president is an image of it's a national image of cohesion. Let the president deal with cohesion in this country in terms of addressing these pet issues. Because of the Western region coming out to address the issues of they've not benefited. They have benefited. The mountain, they've not benefited. They have benefited. Let us stop that discussion. If we allow that discussion to go, the president will not see that seat. But we want the president to see that seat. Let him stop that discussion. Let him not antagonize the son of Madeira. Because even the madman has a brother. And when you touch a madman, the brother will come up. Yes. We have the brothers who are willing to see what will happen to that office. Yes. And they will act.
Yes. Wakili, I want you to give your sentiments about this headline. And also, some quarters have termed this alleged impeachment as a diversionary tactic away from the issues that are affecting the country right now. What do you make of that?
I think I will go with the latter, that these are just diversionary tactics, because I don't think the deputy president is going anywhere. And it's not the intention of the president to offload him. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who can just jump into those shoes and fit in and go. So wherever they have come from, they have covered enough mileage, which nobody can be able to wake up and cover tomorrow, or can wake up and cover in the next 1 year. So I think this is just diversionary tactics. Of course, politics is at play, and of course, in politics, you never sit or settle and be comfortable. It's not a house where you sit and warm and you take tea. It's a house where, when you are inside, you should be even more scared of what is happening outside. So I think people are interested in the seat. They will, of course, want to go for it. They will want to make him uncomfortable, and that makes him work harder, and that makes him a battle-hardened soldier. And I think he is up to the task. I mean, having been a one-term MP, and then next you are in the deputy president's docket, it's not something which you can be able to say that is a toddler in politics, or is a toddler in terms of coming up with how he can be able to safeguard his position. And we have seen him a couple of other times rising to the occasion and defending his staff strongly. And he comes from a family which also does not take jokes. I mean, you know, the former brother, the late brother, the former governor, was also the only first governor who was elected outside the Jubilee back then. in the whole of Mount Kenya. So that tells you that it is a family which can stand alone when time comes. They can stand alone, and then they can be able to be counted. So given that, I think the kind of deputy president we have is not somebody we should be scared that he is going to be washed away or kicked out quickly. He's going to stand his ground, and he wants to solidify the Mount Kenya. The only challenge is, the problem is the mountain. There are people in the mountain who don't want him. They feel like he took their cake or is eating their cake, and they want it back.
Yes.
And that's where the problem lies.
Well, the entry of the Raila into all this has sent some political, has set some undertones within the deputy president's camp. And also this aspect of impeachment, the deputy president has dismissed it, and he has said it's progressed by quote-unquote idiotic minds that are taking advantage of the prevailing situation to settle scores against those they term or they don't like and support. What do you make of that?
Well, Raila and William Ruto have one common challenge when it comes to ascending to power or retaining power, is having that one block of vote that can deliver for you a decisive win. And that one block still remains as the Mount Kenya vote. Even if you go to Western Kenya, they may have the numbers, but they don't come as one block. The Luo Nyanza vote, it's one block, but it's not as substantial as the Mount Kenya vote. So therefore, William Ruto and Raila, they are always looking for ways and means, either to disenfranchise the Mount Kenya vote or to have that vote within their camp. And Moi was very good in making sure that that vote, as long as I don't control it, it is not united. And that is how he was able to retain power for the 10 years of multi-party democracy. William Ruto, I think, clearly wants to use that kind of route where I may not have you guys, but you also will not remain united. And that's why there is this seeds being planted where the mountain is appearing to be taking several directions. I don't see where come 2027, the Meru vote, the Embu vote, the Kiambu, Nyeri, Muranga vote will vote as one, because we have only 2 years to go to be able to demonstrate actionable unity that can deliver.
Your microphone seems to have a problem.
Okay.
But I also want to add on to what he said concerning what the deputy president has termed as idiotic.
I would also term the same. These are idomites, like Wakiri said, and like also concurred. We're trying to divert the attention of the real issues. Other real issues is all about, like we've said from the word go, it's all about good governance. Idomites can address any issue. We saw one publication last week of saying how 20,000 youths were brought in town. Logistically, it's not possible to bring 20,000. But I think also, these are also people that have nothing else to do. When Magi Kijori addresses that office, it's not regarding Gachagua, it's not about regarding himself. It's about the office holder of that office. Let us run to deal with people with respect. I do not want to say he does not have respect for that office holder, but he needs to check his issues and let him address the real issues. We have major issues in Laikipia East, where he is the member of parliament. There's no water. Let him deal with issues of his constituency. When you come to deal with issues of national issues, make sure that your house is clean, because people will still go back to why is he addressing these issues. And his people do not have water. These are people that do not have issues with security issues. Let people not be that idle. I think we have an idle Kenyan there, who have nothing else to deliver other than delivering that nothing. That nothing is going to antagonize the mountain. My prayer is today, do not antagonize the mountain. We need the numbers. President Ruto needs the 6 million vote intact from the mountain and can only get it from Bisimides and not very Edomites.
Yes.
We have an Edomite there.
Yes. So your microphone is well now. I think you can, yes, you can finish on your point.
Yeah, I was just saying, as Madam has rightfully said, the unity of the mountain is good for everyone. But there are those who are seeing the opportunity where if I break down this sizable vote into small, fragmented, disunited blocks, I will be able to retain or acquire power. And that's a very sad thing, because if you look at the mountain and the contribution it makes to this country economically, it's quite significant. If you make attempts to disenfranchise this region politically, it will also lead to disenfranchisement economically, and that will have serious consequences into the economic health of this country. We must appreciate that every person from every part of this country has a contribution they make to what makes Kenya a great country. And as much as we may want to see the mountain as a threat, we must also see the opportunities it brings to this country. We have a region that continues to provide a food basket in this region. It has produced a huge tax contribution to this country. It has produced presidents that have sustained the growth that we are all enjoying today. We have had presidents for the last 35 years coming from that region, and their contribution cannot be wished away. Therefore, we must, as a people, jealously guard these people because they have done great for us as a country. Trying to disenfranchise them, you will see what will happen to you as a country. We must also realize as a country that the mountain is not our enemy. And we as Kenyans are not enemies to each other. It is the bad leadership that is an enemy to us. So therefore, we must seek consciously the kind of leadership we elect. The Kiunjuri was a cabinet secretary in Uhuru Kenyatta's government. What did he deliver when he was a CS for agriculture? I remember one time the president was complaining about his performance when they were in Nakuru showground, that you are not delivering. And within a few years, he was dismissed. So therefore, he does not have the capacity to come and speak to us and tell us, I am a better leader than the deputy president. When you are the CS of agriculture, what did you do for your people? So therefore, let him allow the deputy president to perform his role as a deputy president and the leader of the mountain. When it comes to challenging that position, he will have that opportunity come 2027. Let him focus on mobilizing his party. Let him have his party spread across the entire region, so that when it comes to choosing within a party, he will present himself and the people of the mountain will make a decision. But for now, we need people to be given the space to deliver on the promise of Kenya.
Impacting the mountain negatively.
Negatively. Yes.
Well, that is interesting. And in the interest of time, let me give you opportunities now to give your closing remarks, and I will start with you, Wakili.
Thank you, Mike. Mine is really to harness the moment and be able to tell Kenyans this morning that we are in a very interesting space which we have to make a decision on our future and our sustainable future, because it's not only a future, we need to talk about a sustainable future.
Yeah.
And this opportunity should be able to be midwifed properly, not by the politicians, not by the people who are in power, because for them they want to secure another shot at power. What we need to do as Kenyans is to clean our house, is to also clean our minds and prepare ourselves how to take ourselves to the next sustainable Kenya in the future. So if we lose sight of what we are chasing, and we start delving into small issues, and the small issues could be like what my colleagues are talking about, yes. The division in the mountain. Of course, that is an existential problem within the region, but we need to talk as Kenya. We need to focus and be able to direct our minds. How do we be able to absolve ourselves from the small issues which are holding us back? Because this politics of regionalism, this politics of tokenism, this politics of what should I be able to get for my people. And the just stamping is what has led us to where we are. We need to walk away from that. We need to build a Kenya in our minds first, because we cannot build a Kenya without us first seeing it in our minds. Then we can be able to focus onto that. And when we have done that, then we can be able to walk the journey come 2027. And of course, we start by cleaning house, by ensuring accountability, integrity, and good governance principles are followed through from now.
5 seconds, Engineer.
Mine is to Parliament. We are calling for their wisdom, for their independence. As they vet these nominees, we want to make sure that nothing is left unturned. We want to understand who are these people, where they come from, what kind of integrity they have, what level of accountability they hold, what kind of competence they have, so that when they are sworn in, we are sure that this is a sure bet for this country.
Yes. Madam Joyce.
Thank you. Even as we come to the end of July, starting the new month of August, I wish to implore Kenyans to look into the issues of bad readers that we have. We have bad leadership that is being provided by some readers from the mountain. Kenyans, forgive those readers, but focus on improving this country. We have no other Kenya other than this Kenya. Drop those names of both those bad readers and let us read from the front by providing good leadership. Thank you very much.
Yes, your time is very much appreciated. That is Joyce Awamahu, who is a political analyst, Wakili Gibson Gisore, who is the advocate of the High Court, and also Engineer Crispus Wathimba, who is also a political analyst. This is where we cap matters viewpoint. This has been a very interesting time between 7 and 8:30. My name is Mike Migu. Don't go too far. Vivian is coming back with Women at the Forefront. Keep it KBC Channel 1.